After the last testing, they were doing some routine maintenance and they found a problem with the critical structure that helps to mount the General Electric engines to the wings of the aircraft.
Hi, I'm Sarah Forster, news editor here at The National, and thank you for joining me for this week's episode of A Closer Look. Now, aviation is back in the news, and unfortunately, the optics are not getting any better for Boeing. Flydubai have announced they've had to cancel some routes, citing the plane manufacturer as the reason why. To talk more about this, we've got our aviation correspondent, Deena Kamel, here with us. Deena, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
So, just give us the summary. Flydubai have said they're cancelling routes. Why?
Right, so it's been a rough week on the aviation front. Flydubai has said that it's going to cancel all the new routes that it had lined up for the second half of the year. They're also going to reduce the number of frequencies where they have multiple flights to some destinations that already exist. And also they're going to temporarily suspend their service to Pisa from October to March of next year. And the three main routes that they're going to be cancelling are all in the Baltics region. That's going to be Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. So they are taking these measures in response to the fact that in July they got a notification from Boeing saying, actually, you're not going to get any more new jet deliveries this year. So that through a fork in their expansion plans, they had to review their route network and their plans for the remainder of the year.
That's a pretty substantial spanner in the works of Flydubai. Obviously, Flydubai aren't just going to sit there and go, okay, how are they trying to handle this to best provide for their passengers and their customers?
Sure. So the first steps that they took, of course, curtailing the number of frequencies and cancelling routes means that this frees up airplanes to serve the existing routes that are in high demand currently. And it gives them higher aircraft utilization on the current aircraft that they're operating. And they're also considering going into a possible agreement for wet lease. And that means that they go to a plane lessor, get airplanes from them, get staff, get crew, and operate those airplanes. An option that they are not very keen on, but are considering as part of their plans. So it's harder for airlines to plan ahead for new routes, for the number of frequencies, plan for how to meet rising travel demand when they've got very short notification from the manufacturer on incoming planes. So it makes it difficult without clarity and consistency. They have, however, also taken some other measures in the past. So they've extended leases of their existing aircraft, and they're also retrofitting some of their existing 737 next generation aircraft. These are the predecessors to the 737 MAX.
And then looking kind of at the wider issue, on their wide-body airplanes, Boeing have also had some issues recently. Tell us a bit about those.
Yes, correct. So this week they've come out to say that they have paused the test flights on their debut new plane, the 777X, which is a much long-delayed program that is yet to debut. It's running about 5 years behind schedule already. And the flight test that they began in July was a good signal for them that this program is getting underway. Unfortunately, they've had to pause flights on that particular program because after the last testing, they were doing some routine maintenance and they found a problem with the critical structure that helps to mount the General Electric engines to the wings of the aircraft. And they found a crack there, and that's something that they have to look into and take some lessons from, and therefore they paused those flight tests, which does not, it's not a positive signal for the program and for the market and for their customers.
That's not anything a passenger wants to hear, no. That's a potential problem, is the engine falling off. So with the delays with the 777X, that might have an impact on the region, as certain airlines were expecting some. How is this going to impact customers, passengers? Tell us.
Sure, yeah, no, that's a great question because the issue of the 777X has been a great source of frustration for regional airlines. The top customers globally are for the 777X are sitting right here in our Middle East and Gulf region. Those are Emirates, is responsible for nearly half of the order book of the Boeing 777X. So
wow.
It's a substantial customer. This delay has been a constant source of frustration, of course, for them. Before the delay due to the test flight back in July, Emirates Airlines President Sir Tim Clark had said that he expects the aircraft to enter into service by 2026 after certification is completed in 2025. Keep in mind this program was supposed to debut in 2021, so we're talking about 5 years of delay. So big source of frustration for the regional airlines. Qatar Airways in July had just placed an order for 20 of the 777X, specifically the 777-9 variant.
How would this affect passengers?
It just means that they would have to wait longer to get on this aircraft, and it also means that they are getting versions of current existing aircraft that are being retrofit to make them new, to make them refreshed, a new feel and look, because the airlines are trying to keep those planes flying for longer due to the delays in getting new aircraft. So they have to refresh their current fleet, of course, for a massive cost to themselves.
Yeah. So looking at Boeing a little bit more carefully, their new CEO has been in the seat for about 2 weeks now. How are things going?
He has a long to-do list, certainly. When we talk to analysts and people in the industry, they say that one of his biggest priorities is really to listen to the workers on the shop floor, to regain the trust of Boeing's suppliers, to regain the trust of the airline customers and the investors in Boeing. So he's got a long laundry list and task list ahead of him to really turn around the company, and this is one of the biggest probably turnarounds in US corporate history. So he's got quite a massive task ahead of him, and Boeing has said, back in July, Miss Stephanie Pope, who's head of their commercial aircraft unit, acknowledged that she has that Boeing has disappointed its customers, but that they are in the middle of major transformational change, and that they're listening hard to what the customers want and how they can do better.
That's the hope, isn't it? That's it would be a great shame to see such a behemoth of a company go under.
Absolutely, and being one in a duopoly of plane makers in the world, Boeing and Airbus, it is needed. Its survival is necessary for the market to function as it should, and to have competition, and hopefully with the entry of more competition in the future.
So the CEO and obviously a lot of the chiefs at Boeing are doing their best to turn things around, improve the public perception of the company. What are the heads of airlines? Do they have any messages for Boeing?
Absolutely, and most of them are not mincing their words, I believe, publicly or privately. But there's a great little anecdote when last we spoke with the CEO of Etihad Airways, Mr. Antonaldo Neves, who was saying that if and when he meets the new Boeing CEO, sooner or later, when that happens, he's got one key request for him, and that's, please deliver our planes on time.
Well, I mean, that's an understandable request, isn't it?
So that's reasonable.
Let's see if they can do it. All right, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of A Closer Look. Thank you so much for joining us right here in our newsroom in Abu Dhabi. Don't forget, all of our previous episodes can be found on our YouTube channel.